Okay, now we're going to work on some closed guard breaks to a combat base. Right, a few details of those. So from a closed guard, right, the first and most basic guard break, right, we're going to look at is very simple. It's all going to start, but we need to control his hips. Right, so if his hips are nice and high, right, I cannot break his guard very easily. So this is all going to start by opening my base a little bit and blocking his hips to the floor. Right, so my hands are on his hips. I want his hips to stay on the floor. Right. Next, I need to create some space. So I'm going to step back with one foot and bring that leg into his tailbone. The other leg is going to base out at about 90 degrees. To open the guard, I'm just going to start to create space and then start driving down that nice wedge I've created with my leg there if the guard has not broken yet. Right? As soon as the guard breaks, my lead leg in the tailbone comes up and I sit back down, elbows in, hands in, controlling the base. All right, seeing that from another angle. All right, close guard. Right, we need to control his hips to the ground. I open my base, pin his hips to the ground. Step into his tailbone with one knee, step out, right, at a 90-degree angle and start moving my body back. If his guard doesn't break, I'm just going to drive with my forearm down that wedge. When the guard breaks, lead leg comes up, we sit down in combat base. Right? One of the key ideas here with combat base is I want my foot to be flat. Right? If I'm up on my toe, right, I am off balance. My weight is over top of him. Right? I'm setting him up to sweep me. So combat base, nice and low, foot flat, elbows in. Breaking the closed guard that way doesn't always work very well for some people. It does require a lot of control of their hips. So there are alternate versions of doing this. Right? The first version is very similar, right? And it works great, especially if we can get them stretched out. So I'm going to start this one by doing one of two things. In a gi, I can grab both collars and drive them with my fist into his armpit. Right? In no gi, I can just go thumbs up into his armpit and get the same sort of control. Right? So in a gi, double lapel grab, fists in his armpit. Right now, I'm going to extend him as far as I can. I kind of want his base to come up a little high as I do this. Right? He's not going to grab my legs. I stand up. Right? Right? If his guard is high, right, especially this makes this easy, I'm going to step into the back of his, into his tailbone with one knee and back with the other leg. To break the guard, I'm going to leave that knee stable that's in his tailbone and sit down. Coming back in combat base and protecting my arms. From another angle. Right? He's got that guard. Double lapel grabs, fist in the armpits. Right, we're able to stand up. Right, he's got a high guard. One knee into his tailbone, the other leg steps back. Right, as I sit down, notice my knee in his tailbone does not move. Right, it stays in place. If that knee moves, it's just going to drop back to the mat. Secure our base. Right, protect our arms. A lot of people still have trouble with extending other people, right? And they prefer to control an arm and stand up. Right? To stand up, I prefer to grab both hands, right, on one arm. Right? Get as much control of one arm as I can. At that point, I'm going to step up on the side I'm controlling the arm, and I'm going to step the whole way up to his shoulder. Right? He should not be able to underhook that leg to sweep me. As I stand up, right, I'm going to then pull up on that arm, right, to take him off his base to stop him from, from sweeping me. Now, I'm going to just kind of nice, like the karate horse stance, right? So you have that, right, the wedge of your legs. From there, I'm just going to start holding the wrist and pushing down until his legs break. As soon as his legs break, we step back, come back to our combat base.